you're Karen O'Donnell. All righty. Well, welcome. Just, I guess folks did get the application, I think, in the email. But just for the public record, introduce yourself and express your interest on why you want to join.
Okay, thank you. My name is Karen O'Donnell. I'm a light-skinned woman with brown.
Please use the mic.
Is it on?
I don't know that it's on.
Let me see.
It doesn't appear to be.
This one.
And you need to have it close.
Does that work for us?
Yeah,
Okay.
this is just an old system.
Yeah, thank you. Karen O'Donnell, I'm a light-skinned woman, brown hair, blue eyes, I'm wearing a blue shirt. My pronouns are she and her. And I expressed interest in joining the committee. Professionally, I've worked in the accessibility and reasonable accommodation space for, I guess, 25 years. And long-time Arlington resident. And I'm going to be stepping back from my federal government job, so I'm really excited to just learn. So that's why I'm here. Thank you.
All right, sounds good. Well, I'll open the floor if anyone has any questions or anything. Yep, Doris?
Yeah, I was just curious what issues might be high priority on your plate.
Oh, wow. Do you have a long time? I specifically worked in technology, in the workspace, so ensuring that technology and anything produced through technology, via technology, that anybody who's using the technology or doing the training has an equivalent experience. And I really think there's going to be tremendous potential with artificial intelligence, but I have huge concerns about built-in bias for people with, all of us with a range of abilities. I just have huge concerns. So that's one area. The other is, for many years, the work that I did was focused on the obvious: deaf, hearing impaired, vision, blind, motor impairment, and there's so much more. And I'm really curious what the county is doing and this commission is doing in terms of hidden and visible disabilities, including Asperger's and autism and dyslexia. And
real quick,
go ahead.
could I point out that we don't use terms like Asperger's syndrome?
I'm sorry, I have a family member with Asperger's, and that's how he self-identifies. So if I've misspoken, I apologize.
That's right, we're all here to live.
Yeah, he actually, that's how he identifies. And so I just am curious about what our county is doing and if there's something that I can contribute. I'm also, I guess the last is, in the work that I do, I'm an executive coach. And I feel like our executive coaching profession, we are not as inclusive as we need to be. So I'm just here to learn and be thoughtful.
Sounds good. Well, yeah, I'm on the autism spectrum as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad to have you on. I'm not sure, I'll need to refer to the our staff liaison, Courtney. Is the application pending our approval, or what's the current status?
So the next phase would be the DAC, the commissioners would speak.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do recommend for appointment, then we'll follow up with our board liaison and recommend the applicant for appointment at the next board meeting.
Have you met with our chair yet?
No, I have not.
Okay.
No, I received an email, I believe, was it last week from
Think so.
you? Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yes, Doris? Mhm.
Then I would be interested, you mentioned some areas that you're interested in. And with the charter being especially targeted for people with physical and sensory disabilities, how would your interest apply there?
So are you referring to commission members?
No, I mean the charter from the county board, because there are, other boards and commissions that are working with a variety of, particularly a variety of disabilities. Our emphasis has been physical and sensory disabilities, and I know for, I'm a deaf-blind person, so there are some civil rights ADA concerns with regard there, and I know the commission has worked on a variety of issues within county government, but also in the community, like housing, accessible housing, and transportation, and those kinds of things. Although an interest in technology is, and having knowledge of technology is important, certainly as well.
So for the past 20 years at the State Department, I have led teams of people who have built software and training for staff, employees with physical and sensory disabilities. That's what I've done. So I was part of a group that revised what's called the Section 508 guidelines for trying to use some of the terms for electronic information technology so that the federal government purchases, builds, makes available to the public or to employees. So I was part of the group that rewrote the standards to be more in line with international standards a number of years ago. So my work actually has been heavily focused in physical and sensory, in the areas of physical. My work's been centered to ensure that individuals with a range of sensory and motor abilities have access to an equivalent experience. So the work that I've led, it's been award-winning, and we've been in the forefront of not waiting till someone comes and says, I'm visually impaired, I can't take this training. We've done it from the beginning. So moving into the area of neurodivergence.
So how
is
long do
actually
you think
something
it'll
new.
take for the proposed DOJ? Well, now that the Access Board has come out
Right.
with guidelines, how do you think the process will go for Title II, Title III?
I think it's going to take a while. It always has. I mean, it was the Access Board that
Well, it's
developed.
already taken a while. I mean,
Right.
We went through
Right.
the whole, about 8 years of the Obama administration and never got a
Right.
DOJ standard out of it.
Right. Yeah. It is a very, I mean, that was for the electronic information technology, it was the WCAG 2.0 standards.
Yeah, but Section 508 is a very old standard. It's only
Yeah.
WCAG 1. So.
Well, the organization that I've headed up has worked towards the 2.0 standards.
2.0 or 2.1?
I think 2.0.
I was just curious because I know that there are certain issues going on right now. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you as always, Doris. I would say, without our chair being here, maybe, I know she had a meeting with me and most of the commission members, so I would say reach out to her, set up a meeting with her, and, have the discussion.
Well, actually, I didn't even know that the commission had ever voted to approve somebody. This is the first time actually it's ever happened. Appointments were usually just made by the county boards, so. I don't know, is that a new procedure?
I'll have to refer to Courtney on that.
So it depends on the commission, but I will connect Karen with Elizabeth, just to touch base, and if, I just need the go from the commission to say, hey, and then that's where we will refer to our board liaison to recommend for appointment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying, because actually appointments made up until now were between the county board and the applicants, so, and their resume, and that's actually not, because it sounds like if we take a vote on it, I don't know whether we've ever done that.
Right, so there has been a slight change. What they typically want is at least the chair of the commission to review the application, meet with the applicant, and then from there, the commission will provide the recommendation to the board for appointment. So some will vote.
So that is definitely a change to me. Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you for the explanation.
Yeah, and I'll connect you.
Could we facilitate the vote by email, or I'm assuming we would have to do the recommendation this meeting if we want carrying on at our next meeting?
It's up to you guys. It could be, if you are fine, you can provide that feedback to Elizabeth, and then Elizabeth can meet with Karen, then from there, let me know, hey, we recommend for reappointment, or whatever the case is. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, why don't we just take the vote?
Yeah. I'm sorry, what was that?
I was suggesting we just take the vote.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna go with. I just wanted to
Yeah.
make sure I was getting the procedure correct. All right, I motion to recommend Karen O'Donnell to be for Commissioner of the Disability Advisory Commission for Arlington County, Virginia.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. And those virtually, Leo and Alexa?
I didn't think we could vote.
So,
I as well. I didn't know we could vote though.
yeah, so when there is physical quorum in person, virtual participation is accepted, and that includes voting.
Yes, the Virginia laws are a bit antiquated, so.
No, actually, for right now, not, but you might want to check whether the FOIA says we have to admit virtual people to the meeting, because I know in certain Fairfax meetings recently, they had to go through a process of admitting virtual people into the meeting at the beginning of the meeting. I don't know that that's unique to them, or whether, my understanding is it came out of the state law. I'm not saying hold anything up now, I'm just saying we should probably check.
Agreed. And then to complete the vote, any opposed? Hearing none, the recommendation is approved, and Elizabeth will have her own separate approval, but yeah, I don't see anything hindering that, so hopefully we'll see you at our September meeting. With that, do we have anyone signed up for public comment? All right, hearing none. No one virtually. Okay. We will now approve the July 18th minutes. I do have an amendment. My last name
Oh,
is
okay.
missing its S.
I'm so
You're
sorry.
good.
And I was the last one too, the last time, so my apologies. Thank you.
No problem. I guess technically that can be accepted as a friendly amendment,
What's the amendment?
to add a S to my name.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, and I have an amendment. The amendment is, please check for spelling typos. Because when I was reading, I heard that minutes might be in the body of the text, not in the heading. There may be others, but that's the one that I recall here.
In general, grammatical changes don't require unless it impacts the spirit of the minutes. So, yeah. Moving on, Justin, I see you haven't,
I'm sorry, was there a motion to approve with
oh,
amendments?
sorry, motion to approve the minutes with the approved amendments.
Are you saying my amendment?
So moved.
Oh, sorry, what was that, Doris?
My amendment about typos wasn't approved.
So.
It's recorded, I got.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got your amendments recorded before I post. I will go for grammatical and spellings.
After it goes to the county board.
Yes. Alrighty, Justin, I believe you have a report from us regarding your meeting with board member DeFronte.
Yeah, that was it. Put this thing right in front of me. Yeah, we had a successful meeting. Me and Matt went over a few ideas on implementing adult changing stations into Arlington. He said that he wouldn't make any promises, but he would introduce a preliminary trial run of height adjustable adult changing stations at early voting locations for next year. Which is, in my opinion, a good sign that we got some support from our liaison on that. And if that's successful, then in the coming years, we may end up expanding that. I have high hopes that it will, but only time can tell, and only time can tell, and what the council decides to do. But yeah, on that, I think.
Okay, Elizabeth is joining.
On that, I think going forward, my goal would be branching out to more council members to try to get them to get them onto our side when Matt does go through with introducing it to the county board, if that's all right with you guys.
So I have a couple of questions. And hello, Elizabeth. Hopefully she'll join.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
No,
no problem.
I was muted. Sorry about that. Hi. I was driving, so I didn't get Courtney's email that you got a quorum, so thanks.
No problem. And this is Bryant. I will be the interim chair for the meeting today. Yeah, so Justin just gave us his report regarding adult changing tables. It appears that Matt DeFronte is interested in potentially implementing, let me rephrase that. He would be interested in working with the staff to see if we could implement a pilot program. And we were going to questions, so I'll pivot back to Justin. Did you provide any details? Like, is there room in the current FY24 budget, or would this be something we would have to put in a request for FY, so fiscal year 25 budget or the CIP when that comes up for renewal?
He didn't mention that, sir.
Mhm.
I think it would be worth asking about to see if it would be possible. It seems like it, but honestly, I didn't get that. I think telling him, hey, with what's going on in 2024, it's important that we do get this square. But yeah.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Yeah. Yes, Doris?
Okay, two things. One is Matt realizes that this is not a Title II requirement, right? So it's in addition to Title II accessibility requirements.
Adult changing stations are not a part of that.
I know they aren't, that's what I'm saying. They're not
But
part of the 2010 accessibility.
they're not, purely because adult changing stations have only been something that has been previously introduced to the US as recently as 2016. For a very long time, this has been something widely implemented across the UK. The only general difference between, I'm going to adjust my wheelchair a little. But the only general difference between the US and the UK is we haven't been able to get it widely implemented across the US to the extent of putting it into law. And this is something that's new to the US as it is. The only massive success we've had is in Oklahoma, where they were able to get it into law to have new buildings implemented with adult changing stations by the year 2024.
Yeah, no, I only brought it up in the context of the question about funding, right?
Yeah.
And whether the county attorney might bring it up as he has in other things that were not strictly required. You know, that's the only reason I raised that question more than anything. And because now that we've built the cluster, you know, we turned the accessible restrooms on the lobby level into cluster restrooms. One of the things that is interesting about that is that scoping requirement in the accessibility design standards. The requirement is not the usual ADA requirement saying there should be a minimum of, right? Or at least, right? Those words are, the words for cluster restrooms say there should not be more than, and it's 50%, but more, so it's kind of a restrictive requirement, so I'm just really, I don't know who's going to read what way, and we are right now having a problem with, as I've raised to the commission before, with the agreement for a permanent site plan condition for power doors, which are not required under the ADA, but everybody finds more accessible than, certainly for many purposes, than in new construction for residential as well as commercial buildings. So That's why I asked the question. But I'm curious about whether in the meeting with him, whether you mentioned, this is the second question, whether you mentioned any of the issues that we raised about the building regarding, for example, the high intensity lighting, which has taken all contrast out of the environment for people with significant vision.
Gonna take back this conversation. So, yeah, go ahead, Justin.
And in terms of budget-wise, can I propose circling back to that in the next month's meeting or in a meeting later on? Can I propose that I send off an email to Matt to ask what would be the budget behind it?
I would like to get something written from Matt on what his plan is to move forward on that. Just to see, if additional letters from the commission is needed to help bring that vote through the county board. So yeah, Justin, what I would like to see done is you to just write an email to Matt confirming what you discussed. Make sure you CC in Courtney on that email as well, so she can forward that to the rest of the commission. But yeah, I would just like to know what tools he's thinking about using, proposing to be used, discussions he's going to have with staff, just more. Yeah.
Awesome. Go ahead.
I just wanted to confirm that this meeting you had is not the same meeting as going over this building's
Correct.
issues. Okay.
Yeah.
And also, I would like to add that this is purely just to help get people with disabilities that have incontinence out and having the quality of life that they deserve to have.
Yeah.
And on that, I'll send out the email, and at the same time, I would like to ask if we can be involved in that conversation with the county board, because, correct me if I'm wrong, tell me if I am, please let me do, but I would like to see our commission involved in that conversation, so we are all working together on a common goal.
Yep. And I'm assuming they're going to have to add an additional line item in the FY25 budget to add these adult changing stations. And I know every year the chair, which we won't know for 2025 until like January, but when it comes time for the commission chairs to meet with the county board chair for budgets, we can certainly add this to one of our items that we request the county considers adding to their FY25 budget. And maybe there is a grant we could, direct staff to apply for on behalf of the county.
But there's a budget in 2024.
2024, you are absolutely right. I was.
Time is crazy.
Yes, time is crazy. We were discussing 25 at work today, so.
No, I was just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, sorry, Doris. Correct. 2024, we will, I think we can certainly add this to the line items that DAC will request from the county board. And if there's a grant out there that you know of that the county could potentially apply for, I would say that would be extremely beneficial, because we know the budget was tight this year.
Can I ask if Courtney knows, or is there a centralized fund for accessibility projects, or would something like this have to go through the SIP process because it's, rebuilding, or, you know what I'm saying, or is SIP only limited to, like a big building or something?
I'm not sure. I can ask about that. There's a centralized fund. I will add that the county's fiscal years run a little bit different.
Mhm.
So for example, July 1st began our FY '24. So technically, we'll be gearing up for FY '25 in that January timeframe.
Okay.
So, but I will ask the question if there's a centralized fund for accessibility. And I will.
Modification.
Modifications.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just write that down.
Rather than, well, whether there's one fund for modifications and whether there's one for accommodations.
I
or,
got you.
And,
I'll ask and get back to you guys.
and also, can I add, oops, sorry.
No, I wanted to give it back to you.
Also, can I add that there are grants available out there
Mhm.
that do study certain accommodations that we can certainly look at going forward, especially, from what Matt said, there is 3 early voting locations. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Mhm.
But at the sound of it, getting height adjustable changing stations, which can cost between $5,000 and $10,000. I think we could certainly look at getting grant for at least one of those locations if Matt when Matt decides to go forward.
Mhm.
I think we should be looking at that route as well.
Yep.
I just thought of another thing that really needs to be a question.
Mhm.
So the county is renting this. This is the JBG Smith building, right? Do you know?
So,
Yeah, well, what I'm saying, I was asking Courtney if she knows. My understanding is that the county rents the building. And that means the landlord and the county would have to approve, or it would be helpful if we knew that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was just thinking about that. I believe the county does rent the facility, so that would be clarified.
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think Justin, your, this request would be for, all county occupied buildings, even the ones we own, like our community centers. Okay.
And for right now, what Matt wants to do is, for what Matt and I decided to go for is I cannot say it to save my life, but a preliminary trial run of height adjustable changing stations in early voting locations. So,
So that would be,
or
Boston Center, Walter Reed Community Center, and then that one in North Arlington.
I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're
Yeah.
it's like, which one, like, there's so many community centers here.
There are,
Or how does the building code fit?
so that would be a larger discussion. I think Justin just wants to get this into public facilities like county, Parks and Recs location, community centers, the library system, and any other, community use space that is directly owned and controlled by Arlington County. The Boston Center, of course, will have to be a different discussion. But I think, what Justin is saying, that Matt is open to requesting a pilot study within, early voting location, community centers.
And also, if he did go through this, one thing that keeps on hitting my mind is how do we get the message out that these facilities are valuable? How do we get that out?
Yeah, that's a great topic for further discussion. And of course, always, there's room for growth in the building code here in Virginia. And of course, the permanent site plans, what are they called again, Doris? Permanent site plan
It's
conditions?
called the statewide building code.
Well,
Oh,
yeah.
the site plans.
And conditions.
The site plans, would-
Mhm.
they don't,
Mhm.
for public buildings, it's called the Public Facilities Review Committee. So it's an entirely different portion of the
Mhm.
Planning Commission. And on that, both the schools and the county are involved. But the thing is that if something is in the state building code, if a requirement is in the state building code,
Mhm.
then the code enforcement people
Mhm.
will be examining for that element being there and approve a permit or disapprove a permit if it's not there. But
And that requires a change from Richmond.
that requires a change from Richmond.
Okay.
So I think whatever study Matt does
Mhm.
probably needs to take those considerations
Mhm.
into account. I'm just, I'm just speculating on that, but it's helpful if something is required in the state building.
Yeah, and that's certainly something we could discuss putting into the county's legislative agenda. I believe that process should be starting in a couple of months, Courtney. Yeah. So of course, when that time comes around, we can always.
No, it should be right now, isn't it, Courtney?
I would have to refer back to Courtney.
In
on that.
August?
Yeah.
So I can double check, but my understanding is.
So it may
not till-
take
yeah.
2 years
Mhm.
Yeah.
to get to that point, but the other thing is the issue of the Title II requirement with regard to polling places. So, for here at Bosman, the Title II requirement is higher because it's the seat of county government. Please correct anything that I say that doesn't sound right to you, Courtney, but for the purposes of polling places, there's kind of because they're not used at all times necessarily for that purpose, and because normally you would just walk in, show your credentials, vote, and leave. So it's kind of like the path of travel is and usage requirements within whatever room serves as the polling place. As I recall from reading, the requirements are what take precedence in the case of polling places.
Agreed. I'm going to put a pin in this conversation because we're discussing things that I think we can save when we get.
Oh, I thought you were going to take a vote or something. So I'm sorry.
No, yeah. So we're gathering more information before we do that because we sort of want to know more about Matt's thinking when it comes to this and how he wants to navigate this through the county board and.
So that's what I was hearing is that would be helpful if the commission could help him, that we need to spell out some areas.
Agreed.
And support the financial investment.
Agreed. But for action items, Justin, if you could just follow up with an email with Matt to confirm your conversation with him, and CC Courtney into that email as well. I think that would be helpful for us to determine next steps from the commission's standpoint.
All right.
Mhm.
Can I ask one other question? Does anybody know, this is from the federal and federal state standpoint, the adult changing, the unisex, they're usually unisex, right? Toilet right? When they have the changing station. They're one person.
They're typically held in the family restrooms.
So my impression is that they have them already in the standards for healthcare facilities. Am I right about that?
No.
Like doctor's offices, like hospitals. Because that's the only place I think I've seen them.
Yeah. We would have to do research into that.
Okay. I
Yeah.
didn't know.
Yeah, no problem.
I guess we are on agreements on sending an email out to Matt.
Agreed.
All right. I'll square away by 1900 by tomorrow.
Sounds good. Thank you, Justin. And now moving on to our next item, planning for our visit with Matt for the Bosman Center.
Is that what he wants to meet with us about? Is the Bosman?
No, so this one, the meeting we're discussing today was the meeting we discussed last month where we were gonna take Matt on a tour of the Bosman Center to point out accessibility concerns that we believe the county board needs to address.
But previous to that, he had said he wanted to come talk with us about concerns.
And that's what we're
But that's,
discussing.
but so it's more than just awareness, right, of accessibility and or accommodation concerns. At Bosman, it was something, I thought, because I had recommended we ask him directly what it was, were the concerns he might want to discuss, since he's never, he hasn't had the opportunity to get here.
Can certainly add that to the agenda if we have room.
No, I meant to ask him before he comes, because if we're going to be talking to him about issues, if there are specific things that he's concerned about, that helps us set the priorities, it seems to be.
We can put that in his invitation and in our invitation letter to him. Going to our first item for this agenda item, confirming a date. Did Graham present any proposed dates?
Oh, sorry about that.
No worries, for sure. He did not, because I thought you guys were gonna let me know a date, but I will say, I think we were looking at September.
Mhm.
However, for September, we have Clinton Edwards, who's the new transient manager, who will be coming to September's meeting. So I don't know if you want to do maybe the first piece of the transient manager and then end it with Matt, or we can do another October or whatever the next one would be, just fully with Matt.
Noted. All right, so I will present two options. First option is for our September meeting, we have the meeting with the new transient. And this would be the staff who is in charge of
Stars.
monitoring the STARS program and other accessible transit options. And then for the second part of the meeting, we have Matt and we discuss our issues. So that's one option, to have a combined September meeting. Option 2 is to have Matt at our October meeting to discuss the issues. If I had a favorite to choose, probably be the October meeting, given the lengthy discussions we've been having with our normal meetings. But I'll open the table for discussion on option A, September, or option B, October.
I would like to actually move option B with the rationale that if we are having star officials here, and if we're advertising that meeting, I have a feeling that we will have a lot of the public here, which would be actually a very good thing. But we would have a lot of the public here, and we might want to give them a chance. Instead of having to worry to rush through because a county board member is either going to come in and a lot of times county board members like to come in at the beginning. The other thing is that our meeting date usually conflicts with the recess session.
Yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure, how that plays out.
I propose another idea.
Sure.
And it's a stupid idea, but why don't we just, for the September meeting, why don't we expand it for another hour? Have the meeting time at 6. I know it's a bit lengthy, but if there is concern of, like Doris said, correct me if I'm wrong, but if there is concern about conflict of interest, or
Well, Matt would have the recess meeting, so they're currently in August recess right now, so they didn't meet this month. But starting in September, they resumed their normal meeting schedule, so.
And it can go to 10:30 or 11.
I'm going to defer to our staff liaison, Courtney.
Now, another thing is that I can reschedule Mr. Edwards to an October meeting or flexibility if you want. I can see about the September. Have maybe Matt come September and then move Mr. Edwards to October. That works.
But I think the consumers group in particular are looking for action with regard to outreach and any changes in policy, and that's why I think it would be wise to go through with it if you've got him scheduled and he's able to come.
My suggestion would be to keep it at September and then do Matt in October, because like Dora said, I think the September meeting will probably take the whole time. And then also it looks, based on the action items on the agenda today, it looks like we might also need 10 minutes to reconvene to come together and talk about everything before Matt comes in October. Would be my suggestion.
Agreed. And I'm going to, Duncan, do you have any comments before I go to virtual?
Yeah, so I was just gonna hop in and so we had a list of topics that we had discussed in a meeting prior to the last, where we broke down essentially all of the issues that we had come up with as they were concerned to the building. I have completed that list and I can send it around tomorrow morning. And I feel like that's going to be a better mechanism for us to kind of delineate out, parse out who we want to address what topic. These problems have been essentially stratified into their given category. Let's say, we have issues with the way in which the bathrooms are set up. We have someone who can tackle those mobility concerns, and we have issues with the ambient lighting in the building. We have someone who can tackle those concerns. So that list is made. It just has to be sent out. We can reconvene for like 10 minutes to discuss who wants to tackle what. But that was the only thing I had to the conversation.
Sounds good. And I'm going to pivot to our online members. Any comments regarding the options?
Let me say one thing. I was just sitting here thinking, because the recess meeting always happens the same third Tuesday, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and so there is the possibility of, well, let me ask, does staff know any reason why we couldn't shift the meeting if it would be better for Matt to come, other than a county board meeting Tuesday?
So are you saying, could we schedule our meeting with Matt outside of our normal meeting schedule?
No, I'm saying can we move our normal meeting schedule date, or is that too hard to accomplish? Or is it impossible?
Yeah.
I just, you guys can move it first. You can move it for a special meeting. I just have to be able to notice the meeting publicly, which is about 3 days, so yes, that's fine.
Okay, so theoretically, we could make the vote today to, well, I would tell everyone to look at your calendars for October to see if you have any dates that work for you.
Can I ask why we would move it from the Tuesday it's currently on?
So on Tuesdays, when we normally have our monthly meetings, the county board is in the room right across from us for their recess meeting, which starts at 3 p.m. and can go into 10 p.m. That night.
Well, actually, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, they start the meeting, but they do proclamations and stuff at 3, right? And then they restart it at 6:30. Is that what usually happens?
Yeah, so the Tuesday meeting is very lengthy, and I don't think there would be an appropriate amount of time to pull Matt away from that. Again, it's a lot of variables, like depending on what the agenda looks like for that day.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, so-
That's what I was saying anyway.
This is October, we're currently scheduled for the 10th.
Correct. So we are proposing to reschedule our Tuesday, our October meeting to a different weekday to accommodate the county board meeting schedule.
Or a different,
Or a different
or
Tuesday.
the same day and a different week.
And you can also
Yeah.
you can have the same meeting and just have an additional one as well if you choose to as well.
But also I do know that the TAC, the Transportation Committee, meets the second Tuesday, right? Second Tuesday.
So,
Alexa knows.
so could I propose that, in terms of sessions,
Yeah.
like Courtney said, we could schedule a special meeting.
So I'm gonna take the conversation back real quick. Doing a straw, I'm gonna give the conversation to our online members real quick. So if you have any, so for those in the room, if you have additional comments, please hold them until we get through our virtual colleagues. Elizabeth, I believe you wanted to speak first.
Well, no, I don't have anything specific. I just was actually going to respond to Duncan's point that he's made the list of issues that we had come up with. And if he emails them out, I would suggest that we all try to look at them and divvy up it that we're interested in before the committee meeting, so that then maybe it won't take as long at the committee meeting. It was a very small comment related to shifting the meeting. I think it's a good idea if it gives Matt more flexibility to be able to talk with us.
Agreed. Alexa, did you have anything to add?
Okay, so what are the options for meeting dates, just to make sure that I understand everything that's on the table right now?
So what I would propose right now is we move our October meeting from Tuesday, October 17th to either October 10th, which is also a Tuesday, or October 24th, which is also a Tuesday, pending Matt's availability for either of those dates.
Okay, and the point of this is just so that he would be able to make it so that it wouldn't conflict with the county meeting, or is that, am I following that correctly?
Correct.
Yeah, let me.
24th wouldn't conflict with the CAC.
Right.
So the 24th would be ideal for you, Alexa?
I think so.
Okay. All right. Elizabeth, is October 24th good for you as well?
Yep, fine.
Okay. Leo, October 24th good for you?
It should be fine for me.
Alrighty, I'm going to turn it back. Anyone have any objection to October 24th? Alrighty, I'm gonna make a motion then. I motion to, think of the wording. I motion to move the Disability Advisory Commission's October meeting from October 17th, 2023 to October 24th, 2023 at the same time, and authorize our county liaison, Courtney, to issue a public notice.
Once we confirm with Matt.
Once we confirm.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
No worries. Anybody, a second? I second.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Going to our virtual commissioners.
I
didn't know we were allowed to vote, but
All right, sounds good. The ayes have it. Courtney, hopefully that date works out. If not, please let us know.
I'll let you know.
Yeah. And of course, please ask Graham to propose alternative dates. Yeah.
And if the 24th doesn't work, then we'll make it work.
Then
Well,
November. Then November.
Well, if the 24th doesn't work, hopefully Graham will have us some dates so we can discuss that at our September meeting. And we'll just have to vote again at our September meeting. But this gets the ball rolling for Courtney so she can make the necessary arrangements. All righty. So Duncan will send out the topics tomorrow, you said, right?
I can send them tomorrow, yeah.
All right, send them tomorrow. Courtney will forward. Everyone just think about topics that you would like to take ownership of. And at our September meeting, please come prepared with committing, how many did we have?
We had about, it was like, oh gosh, we had close to 20 different criteria, 20 different issues that we had come up with under about like 6 different umbrellas. So if we want like one or two commissioners to tackle.
I'm
each
sorry.
set.
So we have around 20 topics we listed for discussion with Matt. So each commissioner, take 1 to 2 if you can. Just so we're spreading the workload around to everyone and not placing it on, a select group of commissioners. And then we will discuss this agenda item more at our September meeting, because I do want to respect time. And I noticed we have an agenda item to prepare for next month. So we're going to turn it over to Courtney for the staff liaison report.
Here we go.
All right, thank you. So the report was just that we have Clinton Edwards coming to the meeting in September. So he's already situated. I believe he's gotten acclimated and fun stuff, so he's ready to provide a report. My understanding is that they're at the preliminary stages. They've had to go back to square one. So the goal is that he's going to provide an update, and I believe at that time also solicit and take feedback as well. But more importantly, provide an update on the status.
Okay. So I'm going to start with questions, and then I'll go to the rest. First question, or sort of ask, is, Courtney, do you have like a list of community organizations that fall under DAC's purview that we could let them know that STAR is coming, or is that outside of the county's responsibility?
No, I can let, so DAC reviews part of the process is regional grants, which is Title III and Title IV of the county funding. So I can let our vendors know that he will be present on September's meeting.
And then can we also get this in the newsletter that goes out? Like the county-wide one?
I'll have to ask. I do know that I will post it, but I can check on that.
Okay, sounds good.
So
Yep.
do we have a list of county residents that we used to have a listserv and we would post information, and there were something like 100 people or maybe more on that list that were not, commissioners, or I wonder if we still have that, or we certainly should, I think, post it out to the people who are the moderators for the SOS listserv.
I will defer to our staff liaison, Courtney.
So I think at this point, my recommendation would be to have him first come and speak to DAC in terms of providing an update, because I'm not sure what initiatives they're doing or what their plan is, and they hope to lay that out. I mean, I can definitely send it out to regional grants, but to first maybe receive the update, since that has been pending for a while.
Yes, I agree, just.
Well, I was concerned because everybody is concerned about whether, when they're going to do outreach to the community. And if they're going to count this as outreach to the disability community just by coming to DAC, I think it kind of, I would be asking whether Clinton and the staff over there is going to be sending all STAR patrons a notice that they will be appearing at the DAC to, because I assume they're here to talk about their so-called outreach program, right?
So my understanding is that they've regrouped and they're going to come to explain where they have to start at square one. So I'm not sure what that means, but they're wanting to lay out, I guess, a plan and let you know where they're at. So that's why, once you get the information kind of straight from the person, then maybe taking it from there. And you can definitely ask them what their initiative is and what they plan. But my understanding, whatever was done in the past was scrapped, to my understanding.
So it seems like, Doris, this is our fresh start meeting with the new, what's his title?
No, because they've been putting off the SOS people that was supposed to be even in months prior. I guess
Well,
Alexa would have a better sense of this, but I know we are both on that listserv because they put the proposals maybe as crap, but they said they were going to do outreach, and it's well overdue.
I'm going to say one thing before turning over. Well, I'll let Alexa go, but I think there was a staff change that sort of allowed the whole STAR revamp to just fall through the floor, and now they're reorienting staff on this and restarting the process from scratch. But I'll let Alexa provide us a more in-depth update. Oh, you're muted, Alexa.
That's the same thing that they were telling me, and that's kind of part of the reason that I want to have this meeting, is to just get a sense of, what do you mean? It sounds like everybody else has heard that everything was completely scrapped. So maybe we have the answer to our question already. If it was completely scrapped and nothing is being used at all, that's what I really want to get clear,
And I think, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
And that's what I think this meeting is for, because they just hired the new staff that oversees the STAR contract with the vendor. So I'm
like
sure.
February or something.
Yeah, so this is
not new.
well, we didn't have a staff member back then, and so they just hired, the new staff member was hired a few months ago, and they just caught up to the STAR revamp as it was left when the previous staff member left the county. So I'm sure he's reviewed all of the documents associated with that plan, and he's coming to present us his vision of what that looks like. So I think we should sit on our hands for this one and see what staff have to say at our September meeting. And then from there, of course, we will have opportunity to give him all of our questions and concerns, and then we can go from there.
Hey,
But
Brian?
the CAC meets before we meet, right?
Yes, Elizabeth?
Yes, hi. I just want to get a sense from Alexa and the group. I recall Alexa came in a couple times and gave us gloom and doom from all the proposals they were suggesting for STAR, because they just weren't user friendly at all. And then when they put it off, I was cynical, and maybe some others in the room were, that, oh, they're just putting it off until people forget, and then they're gonna, re-up it with the same issues. And so I'm seeing this as very positive, that they're not just trying to do the same thing. And I just wanted to lay out there that I don't know if Alexa, you kind of remember that conversation, but it seems kind of positive to me if they're starting from square one, because we didn't like what they had. Yeah, so you remember that?
Right. Yeah, because all the things that they were saying were really just, we're going to get rid of medical will calls, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. Yeah, so.
Yeah. So I think that's good to remember as we discuss it, that,
yes,
we didn't want them to just put it off and then re-up it without our knowing.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed. So to that, I say, make sure that everyone on this call and on this commission September 19th, 2023 is the meeting we're going to have regarding the, what's getting our update on STAR that we've all been waiting for. And I would encourage everyone in this commission to notify your networks and other active advocacy groups of this meeting so they can attend to get the update and go back to their respective groups to regroup and determine what STAR looks like. But I think we could talk all night, speculating all night, and we'll save that for next month if everyone's in agreement with that. Great, alrighty. Chair's reports. Elizabeth, do you have anything to report?
No, I thought that maybe, Brian, you would mention that we did have another meeting, and you have been to all of them, related to the checklist that the Aging Commission Aging Commission Planning Council was putting together on a senior quality of life checklist. And I thought it was an interesting call. Were you thinking of mentioning that, or do you want me to talk about it?
Yeah, that is in liaison reports as the last sub item. So, yeah.
Well then, the Marcus Alert Committee did not meet, and so I don't have anything to report.
All righty. Going on to liaison reports. Doris, is there any update from the Site Plan Review Committee?
There weren't site plan review committee meetings this month, in August. And then, nor did the Housing Commission meet. Additionally, going on to the ones that I'm covering, WMATA met in July, but did not meet in August. They never do. So their next meeting is going to be in September. However, there's a subgroup that is reviewing the Accessibility Advisory Committee, AAC, bylaws for potential changes that may be adopted at the first meeting in September, which will be on a Tuesday. It will be instead of a Monday, on September 5th. This could affect the composition of the committee. Right now, at least as of July and August, there was a recruitment that went out, and the open position is to fill what has been an Arlington position. I know of one person who is considering applying, or did consider applying for that. We would have to look on their website to find out whether the recruitment is closed. But the person who was filling that position, Phil Posner, was from Arlington and represented Arlington as, okay. So, and we have other members from Fairfax. And so consequently, I think it's very important to Arlington to keep that position. They have somebody else who represents the city of Alexandria already.
And to my understanding, this WMATA committee membership is by appointment by
The WMATA board.
WMATA board and not the governor of Virginia, correct?
Excuse me?
So like the Virginia representatives on this committee aren't appointed by Governor Youngkin, they're appointed by the WMATA board, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
who are members of the compact.
Okay.
And so Arlington is a member of the compact and put substantial money into the compact. Whereas it can't be somebody who is from Prince William, which is an entirely different transit district.
Noted. I am a bit curious, was there any mentioning on, I know the big elephant in the room for WMATA and Northern Virginia Transit Commission is the $700 million shortfall that is coming up, I think, starting 25?
The budget process for WMATA
Mhm.
is a 2-year process.
Mhm.
They just completed the process,
Mhm.
but they can have changes in interim years. The cycle
Mhm.
starts for the budget, which is a completely different cycle than the service change cycle. The cycle for the budget will start going forward in September, but they don't make any recommendations for changes at the board level and put out a docket until about January or February.
Mhm.
And hearings, if there is action on the budget, take place in February.
Okay.
And the decision is made by April, May,
Mhm.
and then the budget changes go into effect in July 1.
Okay, so a little bit too early to hear if there would be any proposed service reductions with the.
Well, service changes and reductions have a cycle, and they go into effect in January.
Okay.
But, and they would be taking testimony sometime in September, October
Mhm.
timeframe.
Mhm.
But that's a more, those are changes that they have money to pay for, I believe, because the changes go into effect in December.
Noted. All right. So I guess once we get closer to that, we'll start to hear more and hopefully our
If there are any, because they just made changes. They
Well,
made huge changes.
yeah, they did make huge changes and there's also
That affect the budget.
Yeah.
In particular, reducing the fares for, capping the fares for Metro Access at $4. And so that takes $250 in revenue off the table.
Mhm.
And then also making big bus changes. And most of those went into effect July 1.
Mhm.
Really, what's not happened is changes to service operating in Fairfax County or because, for example, the 4B bus that runs up and down here in front of this building and goes towards Seven Corners, that bus is primarily in the hands of Arlington, because most of the territory covered is in Arlington by that route. Although people in Falls Church right there are also affected, but some of the routes, for example, the 2A and the 2B, those are running from here and go into Fairfax County, but most of it is Fairfax County routes. So that's the way they prioritize who has the biggest say and who's going to pay the most subsidy into the system.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for that update, Doris. And now I'm going to pass it over to Alexa for the Transit Advisory Commission Accessibility Subcommittee. I think we've done your update, but I'll.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else, so.
Alrighty, no problem. And then passing it back to Elizabeth, was there a Vision Zero stakeholder group?
Not that I know of. I haven't really been on the Vision Zero group. I contacted the leader of that a while back and said that we need to find another person, but I don't seem to be on the email, so I will check back and make sure that I'm getting those emails. Unless somebody else here has been participating in the Vision Zero group. That's the group that would have no pedestrian accidents by some particular date.
I think they set a date of 2025 for the Arlington Vision Zero plan. If you, of course, if you need Courtney's support on that. Right, moving on to the last two, the Virginia Health Center, VHC Health Behavioral Wellness Facility. Don't have an update on that. I think that'll be ramping up end of September, early October. I don't think it's even at the SPRC stage yet. But as soon as I get an update, I'll let everyone know. And then joint task force with the Aging Commission. We did have a meeting. We made some revisions to the document. I'm gonna go, I don't think they sent it out yet, so I'm gonna request that to be sent out. And then we are also having a meeting with a staff member of the planning department to go over our checklist and to refine it some more. We did stress within this that this is not to replace ADA 504 or any other federal, state, or local accessibility policy or laws that are in place. This is to fill in the gaps where the ADA is currently, ADA 504, and of course any other associated laws are lacking in, and to for it to be a tool for members of the Planning Commission to use it in their normal site plan reviews or the commitments that they negotiate with developers here in Arlington. Yes, Doris.
Yeah, I'm actually very, very concerned about that because I think that checklist makes for confusion.
Mm-hmm.
And then secondly, and most importantly, the amount of time spent on accessibility or any of the topics during site plan review is very small compared, for example, to discussions about, they never discuss some of the stuff that's in there, and it's mainly the big kinds of things like how many type A units they're going to have in there, because it's a matter of space and what particularly on the housing end, what the landlords will accept, which is actually usually only the 2% building code requirement, but
Doris,
so they don't get into kitchen cabinets and things like that. Well, I'm just saying.
Doris, can I address some of your concerns before you go on?
Because we don't go over
first things you've said.
a checklist.
Hey, Doris. Elizabeth
Doris,
was. Yeah, go ahead, Elizabeth.
But she was interrupting me.
I know. Sorry.
I was sorry. I was afraid that if I didn't jump in, I would forget your original comments so I wanted to address the first couple because I have a bad memory and I'll forget them so I'm sorry for interrupting, but as to the first two comments, they, the.
I'm
checklist
sorry, I
that you
can't hear
saw-
you. There needs to be a mic near the.
Sorry, the checklist that you saw, that was distributed to the group quite a while ago, has been chopped down. And the way they chopped it down was they took out any reference to something that was already in the code or federally required. So that I wanted to just say that right away because the code that the checklist that you looked at is now out of date. And one of the reasons that they narrowed it down to not include anything that was in the code was to once again help to make a difference between anything that is already required in the code and things that are just nice for seniors and people to have in livable communities. So it's the whole idea of disability law versus disability justice or senior justice. So that's the first point I wanted to make, that you probably looked at an earlier version. And then also, we had them put in several places the fact that this is beyond the federal requirements and this is not to supplant. And compliance with this does not supplant any compliance with federal law. So I just want you to know that Bryant and I have been really pounding that and they understand that. And we should probably get you the shorter checklist.
Yes, so with that,
So is it an open public meeting when they're discussing this checklist? Because
I'll get back to you on that, but for the list, for the revised list, I will send that out as soon as I can get it from the person who is making the adjustments on that. Other than that, that is all I have for my report. Is there any other items to discuss that has not been discussed already? Hearing none, I move to adjourn our August meeting. All right, there's a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Oh, sorry, forgot the online people. Alexa,
Aye.
Elizabeth,
Sorry, yes, aye.
all righty. And hearing no opposition, the meeting, our August meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too, Leo. And see everyone at the September meeting, which is our star. So if you have any if you end up not being able to attend, just email your comments to Courtney.
All right, I need some bourbon.
Nice meeting you. Courtney, do you know if we need,
Thank you.
have to
It was,
go down to the
I
elevator?
don't need to do laundry.